good, y'all? Guess I am live. It's been a minute since I went live. It's been a minute since I went live. Alright. Let me see if I can share this to my Twitter or my X. Yeah, let's see. Should be able to just go to my YouTube real quick. So there's no music in this live, just because I don't want to get any copyright strikes. But I am listening to music. Um, let's see here. Here it is. Share. Let's share this sucker here. Alright. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good. Alright, y'all. Let's fix my camera a little bit. There we go. There we go. Yo, what's going on? Alright. Let me close this. Let me close this. Alright. So, I'm in the middle of learning about MLAG, multi-chassis link aggregation. You know, for the network, we call it MC-lag. And Nvidia Cumulus Linux, they call it MLAG. So, the way the topology is, it is set up to look like this. So I have my GNS3 up here, and the topology is set up to somewhat look like this, where you have two redundant Nvidia switches. You know, the two cables here are what's called bonds. So a bond is a port channel or ether channel in the Cisco world. And then you have like three servers that are connecting to each end. So you have three servers, each with two network ports, and one port is being connected to leaf 1, the other port is being connected to leaf 2. The switch 1 you see above, that's just how I'm accessing them from my home network. So if I want to do any Ansible, the cloud here is actually my home network, and it's going through this little dummy switch, and then it's giving IP addresses over my server subnet, and then they just get the IP addresses and whatnot, right? So that's what I have going on. However, we're not going to really be covering that in this live. I just really want to go over, you know, um, just give you all a tour, right, of these network switches. And if I go ahead and re-show what I had up here, see if you guys can see this. Alright, you see I'm going to try to blow it up just a little bit more here, just for the sake of the video here. Alright, I'm logged into a switch. This is leaf 1. So in our diagram here, I am logged into leaf 1, and you will see that here there's no name. You know, this is a fresh Nvidia switch, you know, right out of the box, whatever, like that, right? And you know, if I did like ls nothing, right, or if I did a cd here ls, you know, this is your basic bash interface. So when you get an Nvidia switch, it's just your basic bash. So when I go ahead and see here, we can hit clear. That'll clear the interface. So instead of, you know, how you do, you know, you go on Cisco and you hit a whole bunch of stuff, and then you'll just like comment it down just to get some free space. Well, Nvidia, you don't have to do that. There's probably a command for it in Cisco, you know, I don't know, but you can clear it because it's just your basic bash, you know, machine. Right. So the way this works is with Nvidia, I'm using NVUE. I call it NVU for short. And that is basically how you would enter the commands in. So let's say we want to show like the interfaces of your switch. I'll do NV show interface, right? Now you can do NV show interface. You can also do NV show int, and it'll be just like it would at Cisco, right? And you get your interfaces. I only put for this VM, I only put like 7 interfaces, but I could actually put 64 because that is actually the actual amount of interfaces you can have on, let's say, a SN 5600 Nvidia switch. These switches can go up to like 800 gigabits per second speeds on each port. They're great for AI and the future AI factories that will exist very shortly. So here, my NV show interface command, and after I hit enter, shows you all the different interfaces. You know, ETH0, the loopback interface, management interface, switch port. SWP is how they name their ports. So you'll see like SWP1, SWP2, SWP switch port. That's all it stands for. Switch port 1, switch port 2, switch port 3, and so on and so forth. And here in the diagram, I have switch port 1 connected to my home network. So you'll see DB MDF switch 1. That's a data bunny, the MDF. So if you don't know, the MDF is right behind me, right? And that switch 1 is, yeah, switch 1 is that white switch up there. It's a Fortinet switch. So that's how they're being connected to the network. And if you look a little further to the right, you will also see the IP address that it's giving it. 192.168.5.15. That's my server VLAN, and it auto assigns these IP addresses right out the box when you connect them. You don't have to enable them first, or you don't have to set DHCP or do any of that. It does it as soon as it gets that. However, you still want to bring these ports up manually. You still want to make sure you state that in the port configurations. But how these work is, it used the NV command. So if I did NV and I hit the question mark, you're given 6 different options, right, for the NVUE commands. You get NV action, NV config, NV list commands, NV show, and NV unset. So we do like NV list commands, right? What can we get? If we do NV list commands, I wonder how long this is going to take. It's probably a lot of commands. If this takes forever, because I haven't done this command on this VM, so if it crashes or it just takes forever, I'll just hit Control C to cancel it. Again, you can use Control C because I never did that command. I'm pretty sure it was going to probably pop up a huge list, but we can do like NV show action, right? And this gives you like all this different stuff: abort, boot next, cancel, change, clear, deauthenticate, delete, disable, disconnect, enable. You get a lot of different stuff. Reboot, rename, ping. You can do an NV action and then you can ping from the device if you want. So we did NV action ping. We get system, and then the destination IP address. I'm gonna try my gateway, right? 685.1. Right. Executing, action executing. So you don't see it at the bottom, but it did execute here. So you'll see how I'm entering that command, but you'll see this right here. NV action ping, and I'm pinging my gateway, my .1, which is how this switch is getting its IP address. And how this ping is working, it'll say action executing, and then it'll say sent 3, receive 3, so okay, all the pings work. And then they also show you the packets for each one. This is packet 1, it returned back packet 2, packet 3, and then all the way at the bottom you see action succeeded. So this is how you ping from an Nvidia switch. You do NV action ping system and then whatever device you want to ping. That's how you do it. So again, you got all this mess right on your screen. You just type clear, just like you would in Bash in your regular Linux. So we're back at the top. We're back clear. Envy. Let's see what else we got. Config, right? Config. You're going to be using this one a lot. Envy config. So in Envy config, you got apply, attach, delete, detach, diff, find, history, patch, replace, revision, save, show, translate. Um, let's go to each one, right? Apply. Envy config apply. So when you do that, you're um, applying a running configuration. So when you do it and make all the different changes, we'll go more into that later. But when you make all the different changes, then you hit env config apply to apply those changes. It's sort of like you make the change, but you haven't pushed it to the actual production yet until you apply it. So it's not like Cisco when you actually configure that configuration and then it instantly goes on the network. No, you're pretty much staging the config, and then when you're ready for all of that stuff, then you apply that configuration. That's how the NVIDIAs work. It reminds me of Palo Alto, right? You make all these changes on the Palo Altos, but none of it takes into effect until you actually push that configuration and apply it, right? So it's the same thing here. Um, NV config attach, you're just attaching. It saves revisions, so you can, as you're changing and applying these configurations, it saves revisions for each one, and then you get to go back and change the revision of the entire switch if you want. You can also delete revisions with the detach. Um, let's say you've made configurations, and then you go ahead and you apply those. Well, not apply those before you apply them. Let's say, man, you know what? I actually don't like this configure. Let me go ahead and start back. You can actually hit env config detach, and it will actually detach that apply, and then you get to reapply it. It's like going back. Env config diff is pretty cool. Nothing's gonna pop up yet because we haven't changed anything. But let's say you had an existing configuration. You created like BGP on it, right? When it didn't have BGP on it before. If you hit env config diff, it'll show you the difference of, okay, what is different on this revision compared to the one you're about to get off of. So that's pretty cool. Then you got your env find, history, replace, revision, save, right? Show. So if you do a env config apply, it actually apply and save it. So it does both. Um, translate, I've never used that one yet, but those are your commands. So let's see what is running on this switch, right? How will we see that? So again, env config, and then let's do that question mark, right? The command we want is show the configuration for a given revision. So we do env config show. This is going to show you um, the entire configuration of this Nvidia switch. There's actually more running off the screen here. See that? See all that? So this is how a configuration would look on an Nvidia switch. Um, very different, right? Very different from what you're used to if you're used to like Cisco. And even if if you've done like Fortinet, this is like completely different. Looks very similar to Palo, but yeah, but this is all YAML. It's basically a YAML script. So if you know YAML and you're doing YAMLs would be very important, right, for these switches. But you have like the header, right, set, and what you're gonna know is as we're going through these configurations, how we are configuring things on one line. So if I were to do env set interface, right, and this gives, let's say interface, man, I think I'm using all the interfaces. Yeah, let's just say switch port 4, right? So what I'm doing right now is I'm doing env set. So I'm gonna talk about set in a minute, but basically I'm giving all these options regarding this interface. After we have the interface name, IP address, bond, bridge, EVPN, link, LLDP, neighbor, port security. You get all these different options for this interface. So what you're going to notice is when we configure these things, switch port 4, I know, let's just say router at the bottom here, right? We'll just say router, and we're going to do, um, actually, no, you know what, let's do link, and we're going to do speed, and we can go up to like 800 gigabits, right? 800G. Let's just do that. All right, see what I just did? So I just configured I just did a line NV set interface switch port 4 link speed 800G. So I just set the switch port 4 to have a speed of 800 gigs. If we go back, and this is what I'm going to show you about the whole NV config, show NV config diff, things like that. So let's go ahead, right? Let's say I do NV config show. All right, let's look. Let's see if we can find that 800G configuration. We go through here. Don't see anything. I don't see anything. All right. Why don't we see anything? Well, that's because again, we didn't do NV config apply yet. So look at this. If I type NV config diff, we're now given some value. Like before, we weren't given anything, and that's because we just recently made a change. We changed the link speed of port 4 to be 800G, and this tells you exactly what is different from the existing configuration that we have now. So that is the use case for NV config diff. We also have like NV config. Let's see here. So if we do an NV config detach, right? Let me show you what a detach looks like. If we do NV config detached revision ID 7. Okay, what does that mean? So we do NV config diff again. Nothing. We just went back, right? We've taken what we've changed off of the apply list, the list of things to apply. That's what NV config detach does. So in Cisco, let's say we want to add that configuration back on it, right? In Cisco, we can use the arrow commands, right? And you can do the same thing in Nvidia. So if I do the up arrow, you know, and I go to here, NV set interface switch port 4 link speed 800G, set it back, and you can see the ID revision changed to 8. Diff again, there you go. So it's back. If we do an NV config apply, it's verifying, it's readying, reloading, and it's done. And you can see where it says applied and save. So not only did it apply the configuration, but it also saved the configuration as well. So that is, yep, I'm sure definitely I'm streaming. Yeah, it's been a minute since I streamed, Strider. Do I have a degree? No, I don't have a degree yet. I'm planning on getting my associates after this summer, just in general education, and then transferring it to like WGU. But currently, no degree so far. Right. So yeah, so that is how you will apply configuration. So now if we do NV config show, let's see if we can find that interface change. And if we look through this YAML, we can see we do. Now this is what I was talking about regarding the configuration process, how things are looking. You saw how, if we go back down here, and I'll show you that interface we made, that interface configuration, how everything was on one line. You got NV set interface switch port 4 link speed 800G. Take a look at this YAML. The YAML here, you don't see the NV, but you do see the set interface And then let's look for switch port 4. Switch port 4, link, speed, 800G. We've literally just saw what we typed here. It's just that instead of it being on one line, it's being converted into the YAML. So that's it's kind of like nice to have that, because if you want to do just YAML script directly on it, yes, this is for the Nvidia stuff. They call them. This is for the Nvidia stuff. So if you want to, if you just want to do like the just straight up YAML, you can literally, like, imagine you're typing it here, or have like a staged equipment and doing it that way. Do I think trying to get the CCNP is worth it? I think so. I'm studying for it. I'm doing more of like the automation stuff. So with that, I have to get the DevNet Professional and the CCNP Core, Enterprise Core. Now give me that Enterprise Network Automation. I am looking at going through like the CCNP Core material and the DevNet Associate material. I am going through that. But back to this, right? That's pretty much what it is, right? It's all YAML. So let's say we want to verify that speed, right? Let's say we want to verify that that was actually configured on the port. Is it going to be configured on the port? I don't know, because I had with the VM on GNS3, I had some weird stuff going on with that port speed. But let's see, NV show interface. Now, before I finish that command, let's just do NV show. All right, and then a question mark. This gives you the list of what we can show: ACL, action, bridge, EVPN, interface, MLAG, NVE, platform, QoS, router, service, system, VRF. This is what you can show. In our case, we're going to do interface. And now if we do a question mark again, okay, this is what we can show within that interface: ACL statistics, bond members, bonds, brief, carrier stats, blah 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 blah, all this different stuff. We could do brief. Do show interface brief, and as you can see, switch port 4 is configured for 800 gigabits per second, right? So this switch can literally go up to like 800 gigs. Well, will my actual host machine? No. But if this was an actual Nvidia switch where everything was all on that speed, yes. But yeah, that's how you would do it. Again, where am I? Here it is. There it is. So remember when I said that you always want to state your ports being up? So like I initially connected these switches to my home network and it ended up getting an IP address. But the moment I made that configuration change, it brought the port down. So that's usually what happened. And I noticed that that's what happened when I was using Ansible. I had everything configured. I pushed the Ansible script to my Nvidia lab, and it brought everything down. I was like, what happened? Did I do something wrong? I later found out and learned that it sort of takes all the ports down. It's similar to like how a Cisco router works. How when you first turn that Cisco router on, it's fresh, like there's no configurations on it, and you plug things in it, the link lights actually comes up. But the moment you go in and log in, those link lights go down. You have to specifically tell them to go up. So that's pretty much how these Nvidia switches kind of work too as well. So how would you bring like a port up? How would you bring a port up? So to bring a port up, let's say you want to bring switch port 1 up, because it was up before. So we do NV set interface switch port 1, and then let's do a question mark. What we have? What we want is the link. This is telling me that, okay, I want the link, that physical link, right? And then we have all the way down here at the bottom, we have state, and you get two options, down or up. We're gonna do up. All right. Envy show interface brief. Now remember, even though we've made that change, it hasn't applied yet. So we do an envy config diff. We can see it. It's there. We can see stay up, but we haven't pushed that. We haven't pushed it to apply yet. So it's still going to be down until we actually do envy config apply. Verified. Reload. Done. Now if I clear it and do envy show interface brief, now we see that that port is up, and we get everything again. Now here's another thing, right? Here's another thing. We made that change. You know, when we first connect this switch to our network. Thank you, Strider. Thank you. I really appreciate that, man. The moment we connected that switch, oh, hold on, y'all can't see that shit. Here it is. The moment we connected that that switch to the network when it was fresh out the box, it picked up an IP address over DHCP. Boom. Just so we can initially get to the device. The moment we make those configurations afterwards and apply it, all of that stuff erases off of those existing ports, but the ones we specifically configured. So if you notice, when I configured switch port 4 to have 800 gigabits per second, it also brought that port up, you know, obviously, right? The same thing, what we need to do is we need to bring the port up on switch port 1, which we did. But if we look here, we've also noticed that the IP addresses aren't there anymore. It's gone. There's no IPv4 address, which it was, and it was, remember, it was like .5.15 or something like that. So we got to do the same thing. So if we do, we have to give it an IP address through DHCP. Yeah, these are going to be actually, Strider, these Nvidia switches will actually be more like in data centers. So if you, there's news, Cisco and Nvidia has been partnering. They have like a partnership going on, and there's talks of Cisco incorporating Cumulus Linux into their equipment. So we'll see how that goes. There's well documentation regarding translating like Cisco Nexus to Cumulus Linux and vice versa. Like there's a ton of documentation on the Nvidia website as well regarding this equipment. But yeah, this will not be in like this type of equipment will not be in like home offices or even regular businesses or companies like that. These would be more like in data centers where there's huge loads of like AI servers and all of that stuff that needs to do a lot of like calculation at the highest speeds possible. Because remember, we have all this AI stuff, but if the network is slow, it's pretty much the bottleneck to everything. You know, these graphic cards got their own processing units in them. You know, they you know, these NIC cards are like can do more than just transmit packets, but can do a whole bunch of stuff inside of it as well. And all of that bandwidth is going to be needed so that AI can function as, you know, as it should. So we need that bandwidth, we need that speed. But again, like this type of equipment won't be in like a home. It'll be more in like data centers, or what Nvidia calls them AI factories, right? So that's so back to the port here. There's no IP address on that switch port 1. So we do envy set, right? Because we trying to configure something. Interface switch port 1. Okay, let's do the question mark again, right? What's the other option? What's the obvious option we can set on this interface? It's very similar to Cisco, right? IP address, right? IP. We can see IP right here, right? IP. So if we do NV set interface switch port 1 IP, what else we get? Address, right? It's very similar to Cisco. It's very similar to Cisco. So if you know Cisco, this is going to translate very well to you. Address, and what options do we get after that? If I move this down right here, what we get? NV set interface switch port IP address. We get IPv4 or IPv6 address, route prefix, and we could do DHCP6 or DHCP. We're gonna do DHCP because I already have a DHCP server running on my FortiGate, so it's already handing out those leases. Yeah, definitely it should be an ISP at that point. Yeah, there's really no way. Like, I have no business running that in my house, and I got a whole MDF right here, and I have no business running this stuff in my crib. But yeah, so if we do a NVSat interface switch port 1 IP address DHCP, cause that's what we want. Now, if you wanted to set like an actual IP address, in Cisco's world, you would do like 192.168.5.15, and then you would do something like 255.255.255.0. And my thing is running off, so it's gonna look kind of weird. It's something to do with the SolarWinds solar putty thing, so just ignore that. But if we go back here and we do NV set interface switch port 1 IP, you can also do the tab, so address, even though I haven't completed, if you hit tab, your address, if you do that, the 205 to 205 205, you don't have to do that. You can actually do 192.168.5.15/24. You could do that in the interface, and that'll work just fine. Now that IP address will work, but then I'll also need to set the gateway and do all that other stuff. For the sake of this video, we're just going to do in DHCP. So again, remember, we've configured that port, switch port 1, to be an IP address, to have an IP address from the DHCP server, but that's not going to take into effect until after we nv config apply that change. Reload, done. So if I clear it, I'm so used to doing this, we don't need to do that. So I cleared it, and let me move this back up here. So I'll do nv show interface. Guess what? Switch port 1 here. We got that IP address back from the DHCP server. So this is something you have to look out for, especially when you start doing like Ansible, because you're going to get that initial IP address configured through the DHCP server. Because imagine you received, no, imagine, let's say you already have the gear ready, right? Either staged at a data center or at a location somewhere where you have to stage that stuff. Usually you would have to configure that and push configurations in an automation sense on a out of band network, right? And it'll be great to already have any port to look for an IP address from a DHCP server. So that's why these switches by default, when they first turn on, you connect a port to your out of band network, they pick up an IP address already. It's just to give you that initial push, the initial stuff to push stuff to it. However, once you're done with that and those configuration changes are made on those switches, all of that stuff goes away. So make sure you specifically set that stuff in your automation scripts. Make sure that you have the port status up, and make sure that you whatever IP address you want on it, that it's there, right? So you don't have to physically go and do it yourself. But yeah, this was I don't know how long I was on this live, but not too long. It's been a minute. Since I have like a full-fledged live. This is actually a nice setup, not gonna lie. But let's say nv set, we get all this other stuff, right? nv set router, nv service, nv system. Let's go ahead and let's change the host name to this device, right? It's just Cumulus right now, right? If we do nv set system, we get all these different options, and in system is like pretty much like the the system configurations of things. It sort of reminds me of kind of like Fortinet when you want to change something. So you either have like global or you have like system. But here, this is all about the system, whether it's like the AAA, ACO, API, CLI, config, control plane, counter, .1x, forward, and global. It's global configurations, right? Host name, which is what we're going to need to change the host name of our switch. Link, NAT, message, packages, port, reboot. We can actually reboot the service if we want. Set system reboot mode. I'm actually interested. What is that? Reboot mode. System reboot mode. Cold, fast, warm. Okay, so if you actually want to reboot the actual device, what you have to do is you have to go to NV action. Action is something you want to take now, right? NV action reboot system. And no confirm is like reboot system without user confirmation with current mode or whatever. I don't, you know. So when you hit this command, it'll reboot the switch. But that's what that is. Now if I go back here, I'll do NV set system host name, and we're gonna call this leaf1. Right? So it oh, you guys didn't even see that. That's what I did. NV set system host name leaf1. This is I just set the host name of the switch to leaf1, and that's pretty much it. How does it look in YAML? NV config diff. This will look like in YAML. Set system host name leaf1. Now look, NV is not included in the YAML, but set system host name leaf1 is. See the syntax? Set is on one line, system is on one line, host name leaf1. Yeah, the Network Plus is what I took before the CCNA. The Network Plus gives you a real good head start when you start doing the CCNA. I need to fix my notification box, my comment box actually, my chat box. Oh, well, I mean it's there. I'll just sit it up there. There you go. Okay, yeah, the Network Plus is decent. That's what I took. So I took the A Plus, then the Network Plus, then the Security Plus. Then I had like the AWS and Azure stuff. I think I did the A Plus first, and then the Azure Fundamentals, because that was like free if you joined their webinar. So I did that. Then I did the Network Plus and then Security Plus. And while I was at the NOC, I did the AWS Cloud Partitioner. Then I started studying for my CCNA once I became a network technician. But yeah, that Network Plus really does help in the beginning stages of the CCNA. A lot of people skip the Network Plus, but I mean, people somehow find themselves either having to go back to it or whatnot. But whether you're getting a cert or not, just learn the material. But Cisco knowledge definitely transfers over to everything else. So if you know Cisco, you start learning Fortinet, then you can know Palo Alto, and anyone else like Juniper, right? Syntax may be different, but the messages are all still the same. Set system host name leaf1. NV config apply. Applying it. So what's going to happen is it's going to tell you something. Current Cumulus will be replaced with leaf1. Are you sure? Yes. And it's done. Now, if I hit exit, I log out of this. Now you see how when I hit exit, now the leaf1 host name comes up now. So I do Cumulus, my password here. Boom. Now you see Cumulus at leaf1 management. So we just changed the name of the switch. So that's how you change the name of the switch. You do NV set. We have router. So this is like when you want to do, this is global stuff. So you have NV set router, and these are all like the global router settings. So like BGP on the global scale of the router. But if we wanted to, like, let's say we did, you know, we gave the autonomous system number. So we did BGP autonomous system 6540. I don't know. No, not 6540. 65040. And then we hit enter to create it. I'm going to detach this so none of this is not going to be pushed. But and then we said set NV set VRF, right? VRF. We're going to give it a name. We're going to call it default. So this stuff I haven't gone over yet. So you know if you're confused, don't worry. Default router, BGP, and then we're getting like we're given sort of the same options, but this is more like more a deeper what's the word? You're giving them way more options than you would from the global standpoint of BGP. Like you're given, all right, you configure neighbors, or you know, you do address family. So if we did BGP, here it is. If we did BGP address family, IPv4, unicast, then we get like these options like network. So if we want to broadcast a certain network, advertise a certain network over BGP, we can do that. So or redistribute, you know, we can do things like that. So this is like you won't get these options from the NV set router BGP settings because that's like global. You have to NV set VRF whatever after that. That's sort of not too different in Cisco, but you know, terms a little different in a sense. Go back up here, leaf one. So I made that configuration. So let's say like, did I make a configuration or not? You know, what if you ask yourself that question? Did I make that configuration? If we do set config diff, we'll be able to see that. Now, there's another way we can also see if we made a configuration or if something has been pushed or not. I'm going to try to remember that. It was NV show, and I believe it was, let's see here. I may not know it. System. Let's see. May not know it, guys. Apply. Alright. Apply. Okay, operational applied pending. So that shows me what's actually pending. You guys ain't gonna see that right here. I'm gonna have to revisit that. It's not a super important command, but it kind of shows you, okay, this is what's been you know, configured and what's operational right now on the switch, and this is what's being pending to be applied to the switch. You know, and it shows it in this graph. So sometimes you get a lot of this that looks like a graph, like a table. They use tables for it. So yeah, we'll have to go back to that. Let me see. Man, I know it's got to be in here somewhere. Yeah, I don't think it's there. Yeah, NV show. Yeah, so NV show is kind of interesting. It shows a lot of the configuration file, but in a different format. My screen is kind of like I have a long, like a wide, like a really wide screen, and I'm splitting the screens in two, so I'm seeing you guys in the stream, the status of the stream on the right side of my screen, and the configuration on the left. Because the you know, it's not long enough, it looks kind of weird. But I don't like the way this looks. However, I do like NV show, NV config show. I do like that. We get the YAML piece, the YAML version of this. Cool. Thanks for showcasing the capabilities. Yeah, yeah. To be honest, like these switches are like definitely made for network automation. YAML Ansible, like all this is these switches are definitely made for network automation, Devin. It's actually, you know, you can configure these by hand, like I'm doing, but it's definitely recommended to do to use Ansible for these. It's like well built, like these switches are like ready to go for Ansible. Even the collections documentation is really good. There's no, like, everything is like super clear. It's not too difficult to learn it, and you have that the documentation on the side while you're learning and configuring these switches. You'll be good. So, but yeah, um, now we do this right. Let me go ahead and let me actually config detach, because I don't want to make any changes when I do another apply. So we detached that. So I do nv config diff. So nothing there. Now let's go back up here, right, to this configuration file, this YAML. We can see exactly what we've done. If I go all the way up here, we can see exactly what we've done. We got the header, we got all this stuff. It shows you the version 5.12.1. If I scroll down here, we can see switch port 1, which we configured, link state up. Switch port 1, comma 4, type switch port. That's just telling you, all right, switch port 1 and switch port 4 of a type switch port. That's all it's saying. We got switch port 4, link, speed, 800 gigabytes. That's what we configured. Um, and then let's see what else. What else we got? What else did we configure in here? We can also do like change like this admin name and whatnot. Here it is, host name. This is what we did. Host name. Boom. Now if we drag this and take this up, um, it's up here. It's nested under system. So this is system, and then everything else nested under it. And this is host name, which is what we did. Eric, appreciate the thumbs up, man. Definitely like, subscribe, share. I wasn't planning on doing a live, but I was like, you know what? I need to get this Streamlabs set up back. I used to live stream like a while ago. The setup was okay, but I just need something that's like when I get off work, I want to just live stream something real quick. I want to have that ready to go, and the setup I have is great. I'm live streaming off of a laptop, my ThinkPad. It's really good, man. It's not doing anything crazy. I'm glad the streams is actually working. The stream is actually real good. So yeah. So yeah. So that's that. Oh yeah. One thing I do want to show y'all here. SSH server state enabled. So this is something. This is another thing, right? Um, this is why I say that these Nvidia switches are really great for network automation, like Ansible too. Ansible uses SSH to push those configurations to the network devices on. These Nvidia switches already have SSH enabled. So the moment you plug them up to the network, let's just say, let me hide this real quick. Let's go back to our diagram. I'm coming from Cloud 1, right? This is my home network. I'm on a computer somewhere out in the network abyss. LAN, it goes from a LAN down to the virtual network, to the virtual switch, and then it's connecting this. If we go into Leaf 2, which I haven't even configured yet, and I hit that console, and let me show y'all. I'll go back up here. So I'm in Leaf 2, right? This is our fresh switch. Cumulus. The default username and password is Cumulus. But if it'll ask for you to create a new password, so I'm gonna do that now. Give it a second. Boom, and now we're done. Clear that out. Env show interface. If I do an NV show interface, we can see. Remember what we talked about, right? Switch port is up. You know, it has an IP address of 5.14. Now, remember what I said. Have to heck out. Thanks for the stream. Oh yeah, man. Of course, Strider. Yeah, I'm trying to do the Udemy course as much as I can when I get off work. Um, so yeah, when I whenever I have free time, I'll go ahead and try to hammer down on that. Um, but these live streams are really great too. It's really something I can just kick up and running. So I really like doing this too as well. Um, but yes, 5.14. It already has an IP address. So these Nvidia switches, like, you know what? When I come out the box, I'm going to look for an IP address from a DHCP server, so that we can get this staging up and ready to go. And this is exactly what this Leaf 2 did for us. SSH is also enabled on the device, so we don't have to go to the switch, make sure SSH is configured. We don't have to worry about a host name, making sure the device has a host name. Like with Cisco, you have to have a host name first, then a domain name for it. Then you can do the SSH stuff. You don't have to really do that with Nvidia. You just make sure it's connected to a network. So the reason why I want to show y'all this is because let me close that out and let me go to my I'll show y'all in this quick second. Let me go here. This is my Red Hat device. See, I'm in the Ansible. So it was .14. It was 5.14. So if I did SSH Cumulus at 192.168.5.14, I should be able to SSH into it. Let's see. Yes, I can. Give us the password. See, now we're in the switch. That simple. So even though I connected these switches to the network, my home network, through GNS3, I don't have to do the configuration straight off of Solar Putty if I didn't want to. I could have just used my Ansible, my Red Hat server, and just SSH it through it, and then make the configurations that way. We can still do the NV show interface commands, so we can still do that. And just for anyone want to know what I'm using, hold on, let me do that again. For anyone that want to know what I'm using mobile Xterm. So this is the SSH client that I'm using. I love it. Yeah, they give you a limit on the amount of SSH clients you can save, so like sessions you can save on it, but I mean, it ain't a big deal. What I like about it is color coded, right? You get the green, red, unknown. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I got to do env config show. I get the whole thing. So I mean, these Nvidia switches are pretty nice. Cumulus Linux is like really cool, and then you can take advantage of all the bad stuff. Secure CRT. I mean, I've seen it. I don't use it. It's not like a huge. I don't know. I just don't. It's everyone. Engineers use it, so I always get that question. Oh, why don't you use secure CRT? I really don't care, to be honest. As long as I can SSH to the device, that's all that really matters. Uh, you know, I don't even know if is it still like you have to pay for it or anything like that. Like it's not like a huge deal breaker for me if I don't have secure CRT, to be honest. Um, that's just me personally. Shit, I use putty. I use putty, man. I'll be good. Nah, but nah. Mobile X term is pretty cool too. Um, Now back to this. I actually wanna. Let's see if I do this. Yeah, I use putty, man. NV show interface. Brief. show. Whoops. Yeah, so if I right click and I try to paste something, it'll tell me, all right, this is what you about to paste. You know, do you want to do that? And like, nah, I don't want to do that because I'll screw everything up. But yeah, again, right, like all of this, yeah, different terminal options, yeah. hmm there was one for the Mac. Uh, I forgot the name of it, but there was a terminal for the Mac. However, what was weird about it was that it's gonna sound crazy. When you, it's free to SSH into clients, but you have to pay a subscription to console into a device. I it was nuts. Literally, the console option on that application was non-functional unless you paid a subscription. I do have a video on how to console into a Cisco device using a MacBook. I think I had the M1 Mac at the time. So console to a MacBook Air. There's a video, it's an old video I have. You scroll down, you will find it. You know, but you have to do it like with commands and stuff. It was crazy. I like my ThinkPad. You know, everything's just simpler. You know, I like keeping things simple. But I shouldn't have to pay a subscription to console into a device. That's just me. And I try looking everywhere on the Mac in the Apple Store to say, okay, what app actually works that I can just use, right? Can't none of it. uh, but I mean, yeah, Mac, yeah, you can if you do network automation and all that other stuff, then yeah, it's different, right? But if you're out on the field, you need a console into something because you can't remotely get into something, then you're in trouble. Um, but yeah, I'm still a Mac user. Like I like using Macs, but for my profession, what I do, Windows or Linux, there's a machine that just I'm able to use it. Just works for me. Uh, I do like Macs too, but if I was to choose which one to go for what I do, it'll be a non-Mac machine, and I do like these ThinkPads. I have been this is my first time being like a Lenovo person. I've used Lenovo's on the job a lot, but like a personal laptop, I always was a Dell person. But after having this Lenovo ThinkPad, this is the T14S, and what I use on the job is like a was a P16 or something. Like these things, man, these things are perfect. Yeah, these things are perfect. So yeah, I'm probably I'm turning. I mean, I won't say I'm turning. I'm probably already am a Lenovo type person. So now I lost my train of thought. What I was gonna do. So that's why I'm just babbling on with other stuff. But yeah, these switches are layer 2 and layer 3. Do you have to like specifically tell it to do? No, you don't. Um, when you put an IP address on an interface, it's it's already there. It's just you don't have to specifically say like tell this switch that it's going to be a layer 3 switch. No, you don't have to do any of that. It's just it's already layer 3. Um, yeah. Now as far as like what I'm going through, as far as like the documentation go, this is the M lag. I gotta get used to saying just M lag. I'm so used to saying MC lag. You know it's the same thing, but Nvidia likes to call it M lag. Uh, the basic setup. This is your so in Cisco you have what's called a port channel, right? And you do show ether channel, whatever. Like in Cisco you have port, channel group, blah blah blah, and then you have the port channel. In the Nvidia world, this is called a bond, right? So you will create. I can show you what it looks like in the interface here. I kind of like this. Yeah, I kind of like this setup, man. Instead of having me, yeah, I kind of like this. All right, so we do env set interface bond. 0. So this is the name of the bond. But then we're given, um, we're creating an interface called bond 0, and then we're giving it the bond properties, right? Member. We do member. After that, then we can have our interfaces. So for the purpose of this, well, you know, for the video we got going, logically speaking, let's go ahead and do some of this. So I'm using GNS3 for y'all who don't know yet, and then I'm gonna lower it one layer, right? Let's go ahead and be fancy with it. Let's do yeah, oh no, this green would be good. Color field green. Apply it. Boom. All right. This is our let's make this a little smaller. This will be our bond connection. Port switch port 6 and switch port 7 on each leaf. So we're on this switch right now. We want to do switch port 7 and switch port 6. How we do that in the terminal, if we do env set interface bond 0 bond member, and then we got bond member interface name, switch port 6 through 7. Oh, what did I just do there? So those who are familiar with Cisco, when you want to do a range of interfaces, you have to do a config T and then interface range, gigabit, 0/1, and then the hyphen, and then the next one. That's how you do a range. In Cisco, you have to specifically specify the word range in it after interface. Here, you don't have to do that. You just say env set interface bond 0 bond member switch port 6 through 7, and that's it. So if we do the env config diff, we get that in the YAML set interface bond 0 bond member switch port 6 through 7. Will this push? Will this apply? I don't know. Let's see. Env config apply. Yes, it did. It's done. So we do env config show. And we should see it right here. Env set interface bond. Boom. What we just did was we just created a channel group, right? So in Cisco, when you do, when you create port channels, you do channel group, I don't know, let's say 0, right? And then you will go to the interfaces, and then you will specify those interfaces for that channel group. That's basically what we just did with the Nvidia switches. So if I do it on the other side, on the other switch, create a bond for that one, then it would become it'll become this bond link. So I got bond 0 members 7 and 6 here, and it'll be a bond 0 on leaf 1 members 7 and 6. They'll all connect. I'll also make sure I set the speed, right? What speeds we want to use for these ports. Set the status up, things like that. And that's what we do it. Now, what I'm going to learn how to do is like mlag, MC lag. I understand the concept. I've done it before the switches. It's now figuring out, okay, how to get this to work with Nvidia switches. I already know the concept. I know what it's trying to do. I've had experience with it with Fortinet. I even had experience with it with the Cisco Nexus with the VPC. Right? It's very much the same thing. It's just now this is Nvidia. So I'm going to be reading through this documentation, and they got all different types. They got, all right, let's do What if we do a bond here, from the spines, and then it goes down to the leaf, interconnects on the leaves, and then cross connects on the leaves, and then there's another bond here, right? Or like, let's say you have a leaf, and then each one is in redundant links to the servers, to 3 servers. Bond link there, you can do that. And then it's an MLAG. So this is all one chassis, but it's an MLAG here, right here. Like it just goes on. And then it also shows you yeah, VXLAN. And then it also shows you like this is the enview command. Now what's interesting about this stuff, right? You can also use Linux commands. So if you're familiar with the you go to Nano etc network interfaces, you could literally do what I just what you just did, creating a bond and all that, with just basic Linux commands, right? I wouldn't do it, but you know you can do it. It's Bash, it's Linux, so you can pretty much do it. Whatever you can do in Linux, you can do on these switches. Env commands, right? This is the env command. This is how you would do it uh, for using the env commands. Oh yeah, I remember what I wanted to do. I wanted to show. I wanted to see if this was possible, right? Here's what I want to do. See, did it freeze? Oh man, it froze me out. Let's try to SSH back into it. SSH. Wait, I think it already saved it. Yeah. Oh, there I can see it. SSH at 685.14. Oops. Cumulus. Yeah, Cumulus. What happened? I want to see if anyone knows what happened. I know what happened. Let's go back. Let's go back to see what happened. So I still have the session open locally on the console. Let me show you guys this. All right. So this is switch 2. This is what we were trying to SSH into. Env show interface. Guess what happened? Can y'all guess what happened? This is why I say when you're out of band, ports, make sure you specifically tell them to go up, right? That's what happened. Remember what happened? I pushed that configuration uh, on that switch when I was in SSH from the Ansible machine. Uh, when I did that, it brought all the ports down. Remember, what did I push? I pushed the bond link, pushed the bond, those links down. So that's what happened. So usually what would happen is, all right, when I create this bond, you got 1 gig here. When I do it on the other side, that'll come up and it'll tell you, all right, this is a 2 gig link, just like we regularly do, right? But this is what happened. Switch port 1 went down. I got to specifically tell it to come back up, and then I'm gonna have to tell it to DHCP. So you only get this issue when you're, when you're doing like what I'm doing, where it's like, okay, you're connecting it to an out of band network, and you're trying to push this stuff, make configurations. Make sure you specifically specify those out of band ports to be up, and to make sure they're maintaining that DHCP service. Looking at it. So let's bring this port back up. Env set interface switch port 1 link state up. Okay, that's 1. And then we also do env set interface switch port 1 IP address DHCP env config apply. Spline it. Boom. Okay. Auto saving. All right, it's done. So if I env show int, we can see that that port is back up. And well, look at this. R2 databunnyllc.org. Where is that going to? So this is going back to my actual home network. I'm trying to figure out what. Let me look behind here. R2. I don't have a R2, do I? Huh. I'm not sure where it's getting that domain name from. Remote host. Ethernet 3. Remote port. Ethernet 3. 1, 2, 3. Wow, that's really strange. I have no router plugged in. Yeah. I don't know where it's reading that port from. Alright, well, let's clear that. Now we go back to our Linux machine, right? We go back to here. Now we should be able to SSH to it. Clear. There we go. See, we have to bring the port back up. All right, now we're back in. Now it should not go down anymore because we specifically telling it like that configuration is now saved. But this is what I wanted to show y'all. Make directory test folder. Look at that. So in the switch, we can literally, create a folder. Let's say we want to create a folder and call it configuration files, right? So let's say we want to do let's do make directory configs, and then in it we want to do let's do cd configs touch test.yaml, right? And now we do a sudo nano test.yaml. We can literally now paste what we want, YAML scripts or whatever, into that file within the switch. Why you want to do that? I don't know. Maybe you want to do that, right? For those who are familiar with like Cisco, you know, it's a weird process. But here, boom. And then what you can do is then you can go back to the switch, right? So watch this. Let's say we just had some. Look at this. What? Let me go back. Let me. I gotta show y'all this. All right. So we go. So if I do nv show, nv config show, right? We can remember we can still interact with the switch even though we're in like the configs directory. We can still interact with the switch. Let's say I take all this, right? Now I just copy that, right? And then I do a nano back in there, and paste that in there, right? Copy it, go out, and do a cat test. All right, all that's in there. Now if I do an nv config attach a revision. I think this is how you do it. If I do, what was the name of that file? What did I call it? Test? Yeah, test.yaml. Test.yaml, I think. Yeah, revision test.yaml. So what I was trying to do was show y'all. It was something I did. Oh, here it is. It's patch. My bad. It's patch. Update the pending revision with a config YAML file. So if I was to do this, right? Let me clear all this shit out. Nv config patch, and then I can do, here's the NVU file, right? Location of file to load. I will do test.yaml. Boom. What I just did. This is so cool. So I made the configuration. So I created a folder within the switch. Copied the configuration, right? Of the, of this switch. Turned into a file within that folder, within the switch. Now I can go in there and grab that configuration out of that folder. No, there's no magical, some weird way on how to do it. You can just do it just like this. So this is why I say, man, you gotta learn Linux, man. Like, learning Linux is very useful. in this. So after this, we'll do nv config diff, password. So this is another thing you may want to also look out for. I ran into this issue too, where when I did this, so it only happens when you do that patch configuration, and you're backing up, you're bringing the file back. You get the hashed password. I can't remember what I did to fix this, but I believe I had to like specifically give, in the YAML file, I have to specifically change that password to something, to what I want to do. Because look, if we go back, so I'm gonna do an nv config detach because I don't want this. Just want to show y'all exactly the power of Linux and networking. So if I do an ls and I go back to, I'll just cat test YAML. Right here where it says user Cumulus, full name Cumulus, which we were just logged in, hashed password, and it's a star there. You want to change that before you load the configuration. Change it to whatever you want. I'm going to see if it works. I'm going to do it. Since I'm on. We're going to do it live. Let me go back here. Nv. Nv. Actually, I'll do sudo nano test.yaml. Yeah, we want to find that. I'm just going to give it a generic password here. We're going to call this, I don't know, test 1 2 3 4. I don't know, right? Save it. Boom. And then I want to do patch it. Nv config diff. Still does it. I don't know. I'm gonna push it. Nv config apply. This was an issue I ran into. I was trying to figure it out. Let's see if I go out of it. Okay, let's SSH back into it and test. What was it? Test 1 2. Let me go back. Test 1 2 3 4. Yeah. See, it says denied. I have to figure out. What did I do the last time. It was something crazy. Yeah, it was something crazy I did. No, it actually wasn't anything crazy. It was very simple. I'll look it up. But this was what I ran into. But um, that's one way. If you wanna back up a file on the switch itself, you can do it that way. Just like if you know Linux already, then you don't have to learn anything else. You know how to do it. You just learn the nv config patch, and you get into it. Now I'm already locally in the switch too as well. So let me go back here. Let me enable this screen, and I'm already in the switch. Nv config show. See how the star here? So I have to read up on this. And then in the next live stream, I can show you how to get around that. It's an easy lookup. Ain't nothing crazy and serious. But let's say we want to change the password because the password isn't working, right? How do we do that? Nv config. Let's see here. Actually, do nv set system, and let's see where we global. Let's see, do we have anything in here? We want to do password. Oh, they got autosave? Oh shoot, I didn't know that. Nv, what is it? Nv action. I wonder what this reset does. I haven't tried that one yet. We got the rename. Oh yeah, I think we gotta go into the user. Envy set. I think it's service. Nah, that's the syslog system. And then a user. Here it is. Cumulus. There it is. Hash password, blah 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 with the hash string. Configure user password and clear text. We do hashed password. We do test 1 2 3 4. Envy config apply. Config apply executed with no config diff. We're gonna do this. You see that where it says hash? You saw that star right there? We're just gonna do password. Test 1 2 3 4. Password should contain at least one uppercase character. Password should contain at least one special character. Alright. Let's do test. No, let's do test. 1 2 3 4 $. Envy config apply. Alright. So this is our lab, y'all. Yeah, there's nothing special. I'm literally learning this stuff as we go. Envy config, Envy show interface. I just want to see these interfaces real quick. There we go. Oh yeah, that's what we forgot to do. I don't think I set the DHCP on it. Envy set switch port 1. Yeah, set interface switch port 1 IP at DHCP. Envy config apply. Set with no difference. Envy config diff. See what's going on with this. I don't know if something wrong with my VM or what. I must have did something. I must have crashed it. Oh no, I crashed it. Envy. There you go. You guys can see it. Envy. Show Envy config show. Here it is. Host name. DHCP. It's there. There you go. Envy set interface switch port 1 IP address. Let me make sure that is let's go on there. Let me view this diagram here. 1. Yeah, so the reason you see leaf 1. So if I show y'all this real quick. The reason y'all see Envy show interface brief. Oh shit. Brief. The reason you see leaf 1 on switch port because of this switch here. Move this to the side. This switch. It's seeing the other side. That's because we're on leaf 2 and it's seeing leaf 1. So it's seeing the other side. The problem I'm running into right now is that even though I set the interface switch port 1, DHCP is not picking it up. And this is the first time I ran into this issue. I have a feeling it's my VM. GNS3 is probably acting crazy. But as y'all can see, it's a lot of cool stuff. I'm getting kind of sleepy. It's a lot of cool stuff you can do on. Let's see. Can I ping it? It was, yeah, 192.168.5.14. No, I can't ping it. I can't ping it. Now, what I could do is like statically set it. You know, that's a whole. You know, that's another thing. So if I go in, I can statically set something. Trying to find it. Here it is. There you go. There you go. I was like, man, where is it at? All right. Now it looks. The reason I've been moving it around is because the layout is different. You guys can kind of see it. I don't know what's going on with this. Hey, move this out the way. Yeah, I'm gonna move it back. It's the way I have it. Yeah, I'm just gonna do it the way I have it. Yeah. Yeah. I kind of like this view of the streams actually. I kind of like this. I like that one better. You get to see everything, and it's also color coded. So, let's see here. Let's see if we can troubleshoot this issue before we end the stream here. Envy set interface switch port 1. We're gonna do IP address DHCP. We don't want to do DHCP 6. We want to do DHCP envy config diff. But you see, so usually it's telling me that the configuration is already here. The issue is that the port isn't getting the IP address from the DHCP server. And I don't have this issue on leaf 1. Leaf 1. Unless it's because of these two. These two are in the same connection here. So what we could do, here's another thing you do in the Ansible script. We can actually, once we push the Ansible script, we can then set the ports to statically be that IP address if you wanted to, or create reservations. Who knows what my FortiGate did, right? It probably moved it somewhere. But we're gonna do this nv set interface switch port 1 IP address. We're gonna give it 192.168.5. What was it? 14. And then we gotta do the prefix too. So yeah, I don't like this layout right here. I like the other one, but we gotta do this slash. And what was the subnet? What's the subnet here? So I'm going to look at my FortiGate. My FortiGate here. I can't show you guys this one, but let's see here. FortiGate. We're gonna go to read only, and we're gonna look for interface. Interfaces. Our server subnet is a 16 128 192 224 240 248 252 16 17 18 19 20 21 20 slash 22. Yeah. 128 192 224 240 248 252 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 22 slash 22. Yeah, I'm doing a subnet in my head, so yeah, that's a slash 22. All right, let's go back here, slash 22. All right, so that's how you statically set an IP address on the interface of an Nvidia switch. right? What else we need to do? We also have like NV set interface, switch port 1. All right, and then we also have IP gateway. The address of the IP gateway. Let's see if this works. 192.168.5.1. NV config apply. All right, let's see here. So here it is, right? So these are how error codes look in an Nvidia switch. It says invalid config revision ID 12. Config invalid at interface dot switchport 1 dot IP address dot address. Well, IP dot address. DHCP, but then I statically set an IP address here. This has too many properties. What this means is it's telling me, hey man, like you already have DHCP configured for this port, but you're trying to now statically set it. Which one is going to be, dude? All right, let's do an NV config detach real quick. Right, and then let's also take the DHCP option off of this port. Okay, how will we do that? Well, we have set, but we also have unset. Very similar to the Fortinet world. They do use unset as well. So we do NV unset, right? Interface switch port 1 IP address DHCP. Boom. That's all we had to do. That's all we had to do. So we did NV config diff. It tells us, and it's in red. So it tells us, look, the DHCP is null. It's nothing there. So let's see if I NV config apply. Let's see if it applies. It does. Boom. NV show. NV config show. And if we look here, and I say interface error, we still got the bond interfaces that we made, but you can see that address option is gone. That DHCP isn't there anymore. So that's how you would unset something. So if you want to take something out, you hit unset. When you add something, you said set. So that's how you do it. So if we go back and we statically set that IP address, and then we go back, get the gateway, NV config. Will it apply now? All right. Oh. We've statically set the IP address and fixed it this way. So let's go back over to the Linux machine. Let me, boom, go back here. Right. Put the password. What was it? Test. Man, what was it? Test 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't remember what it was. No, it probably wasn't that either. So now let's go back and let's change that. Now we going all the way back to what we was trying to do. So let's show this again. Clear NV set system AAA user password. Was it user? That's the user ID. So we do AAA user. The user ID is Cumulus, and y'all can't even see that right here. Password. I think it's test 1, 2, 3, 4. We got it at the capital. Test 2, 3, 4 $. User Cumulus does not meet the requirements. Password should be different than 10 previous passwords. Let's do test 1, 2, 3, 4 $. NV config. Let's do NV config diff hashed password. So this is something that I'm going to have to figure out I did it once before and I can't remember what I did. But we get this hashed password thing that's been bugging me this part of the stream. Um, it isn't like Cisco is like, okay, create the password, boom, like that. I have to figure out, okay, what is it trying to do, right? And the options here, we have hashed password, configure user password with a hashed string. But then we also have the password option, which is configure user password in clear text. All right, so if I just do this, nv config apply, we're gonna do that. I'm gonna go to the Linux machine here. Test 1, 2, 3, 4 $sign. Okay, it worked. So even though it shows up as a star, it's still there, and I understand it. I understand why it shows as a star. So we have to make sure that we set password, not hash password, but make sure we set password. So let me go here. Let me take that out. Here it is. So I just logged back into the switch. Man, that was a doozy. DHCP for some odd reason wasn't working. I think I had to like unset the DHCP option and then reset it back. It was pretty crazy. But we're back. We're back remotely accessing. Now in my FortiGate, if I wanted these switches to maintain these IP addresses, I will have to reserve them. So I can easily do that in the FortiGate. I can find them in my FortiGate, reserve those IP addresses for these devices, and that way they won't change. You don't wanna configure a static IP for a device in a dynamic network, if that per se. Like this network is complete. All of my networks are DHCP, but I have reservations for devices that needs them. Um, it's just easier that way. If a network ever needs to change, I can just change the IP addresses of them, or like they would get a different IP address, and I just reserve those instead of setting everything static and then, oh man, I have to go to each device and rechange them. Like I don't want to do that, and neither should you. Um, so what I would actually do here is change this back to DHCP. Make sure the FortiGate can see them and then reserve it. But for the sake of this video, this live, um, this is where we are. So let me clear it. So yes, that is how you do it. That's how you do it. So there's still some things I need to figure out as far as like, okay, I save let's say we do that patch command. Is it a much smoother way on doing it without having to lose that password? For some reason, it seems that the hash password changes. Um, would it be better, or would it be best just to create a different user with a different password, apply that account as you're pushing things, as you're doing the patch, to say, the nv config patch? That's something I need to figure out and read up on. Um, but yeah, that's it all comes with studying and learning this stuff. As you can see, man, a lot of this stuff is very similar to Cisco. Um, Here, it just you also have the ability. You also have the you have the ability to use bash commands on top of that. So I just deleted that folder here. I'm going to keep the test YAML in there because I may want to play around with it, right? But nv show, nv config show. I always try to do like nv show run. It's like, nah, that's not Cisco. All right, here it is. Here are the command. This is what we got. So this is what we configured um, in our set interface, and we want to go all the way down to switch port 1. IP address 192.168.5.14/22. Gateway 192.168.5.1. Link state up. So when you configure when you specifically configure a port, whether it's the IP address or whatnot, it'll automatically bring that port up. So you don't have to specifically say it. But if there's no IP addresses on them, you may want to specifically tell it to go up. Um, Again, a user full name, Cumulus, hash password is just that star system admin. It's the role they have. And there's like a lot of stuff to this that you can do here. But yeah, guys, this pretty much end the stream. I'm gonna end the stream here. Um, it's been a minute since I've live streamed, so it's pretty cool to really show you all. You know, just a quick. I won't even say quick. This pretty much been a long video, but a dive into some of the basic configurations and navigations of an Nvidia switch. Um, I do see these switches like working in side by side with Cisco switches as well, and others. Most of the what's crazy about Nvidia is that they have a good relationship with all the other network vendors, and they have a share in networking after they bought Mellanox and Cumulus Networks, but it doesn't seem like they're like in direct competition with the rest of the networking world because of their uh, their ownership of these graphics cards, right? You know, so it's interesting. It's an interesting scenario. There are many scenarios that can go on, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how all this goes. Now, again, you will not run these in your home. You know, if you run them in a home lab, I mean that's cool with you, you know. But in reality, I mean, you can't take advantage of that. Probably could, but you can't take advantage of 800 gigs in your house. Maybe locally, right, in your local network. But the bottleneck is gonna end up, you know, on your firewall if you try to do anything outside of that. Like you wouldn't use that amount of speed anyway going out to your internet. It would mostly be for stuff traversing over um, the LAN. Um, but yeah, that's all I have for today. Tonight, it's I like this view. So this screen you're seeing me cast right now on, this is coming from my laptop, my ThinkPad, and it's using MobiX term, so everything is color coded. This seems to be a lot easier on the eyes for people who are viewing this. I'm looking at a smaller screen because of my Streamlabs setup, but yeah, I won't have to fiddle with trying to fiddle with moving this thing all over the place. You know what I'm saying? But this is what the actual interface looks like from solar putty standpoint. Um, but yeah, man, this is cool. Well, I hope you all enjoyed the live stream. Hope you all enjoyed me troubleshooting it, you know, doing a workaround to get the stream to keep going. I'm pretty sure if I had unset the DHCP and reset it, it probably would work. But um, yeah, I wanted you all to I wanted to show you all exactly how to configure like a static IP on an interface anyway, because you may have to do that, right? What we didn't do is like BGP and all that stuff. We'll get to that. And they have a cool thing called BGP unnumbered, meaning the the um, the neighbor, the BGP neighbors is going to be called external. So anything outside of us of the Nvidia switch port, it'll find the other BGP switches over the network without you having to specifically put in an IP address, which is pretty cool. Um, so yeah, hope you all enjoyed the video, and I will catch you all later. See ya.